And welcome back to another CBB Talk. It's your boy, Will Dickinson. We're on Saturday, November 11th, a Saturday episode. Not common for me. Usually I do Fridays and Mondays, and sometimes Wednesdays. But college basketball's in a weird spot right now where there's a lot of college football games still going on. It's regular season, so they play most of their good games on Friday. There are Saturday games, but there's really nothing, no really big games this weekend at all. Before we get into some really good games next week, let's talk about the results in the first week of the college basketball season, because, man, there were some crazy ones. And here's one thing I wanted to do. So I'm going to be right back. Sorry. There was one thing I wanted to do, and it was this. I wanted to put this on right now, and this is leading off the show today, because I don't care. I run the show. No one else can tell me what to do. I'm wearing a James Madison shirt. Let's throw that down right there. I'm wearing a James Madison shirt. If you follow college basketball, you kind of know the reason. If you follow college sports, there's kind of one school that's on top of really everything right now, and it's James Madison. And yes, I have them in my top 25 because why not? If your reasoning is for having Michigan State still in your top 25, which I do, you have to have JMU in your top 25 because I believe they're the only team in college basketball that is 2-0 with 2 road wins. If you can find another team that's 2-0, 2 road wins, actually let me know. But I was looking through it on Thursday, so maybe someone did it yesterday. But I have JMU 22 in my top 25 and Michigan State at 23. Because if you have Michigan State in there, you gotta have JMU in there. Do I think it's gonna stay? No, but they're favored according to Ken Palm in every game for the rest of this year, 2023. Not the rest of the college basketball season, but the rest of 2023, they're favored in every game. So let's talk about my James Madison Dukes, who has never been a good college basketball program ever since I've really been following them, because that is where my dad went to school. Man, trying to find this. Where is this score? I'm trying to find the box score. Anyways, so that is when my dad went to school, and I've always kept track of their football team because while they were in FCS, they were always one of the best in the FCS, and they ended up winning the national championship. I can't remember what year that was. Maybe 2017, 2018. I can't really remember the specific year. And trying to find the score. Okay, found it. So that was, I always kept track of the football team. They moved up to FBS last year, had a really good year. And this year, of course, they're 9-0 undefeated. But they can't play in the bowl game, which is some bull. I'm gonna say it, bullshit. It's bullshit. It really is bullshit. And if that could somehow change, it'd be awesome, because they would have a legit shot to play in the New Year's Six Bowl this year. And I will be going to a James Madison basketball game actually next week. I'm gonna bring my mic and my laptop. So I may bring an episode from Harrisonburg next week and talk about the Dukes or something like that. Oh my goodness. So let's talk about James Madison's first game. And it was, of course, a massive upset against Michigan State on Monday. And Michigan State preseason ranked 4th in the nation. They were AP ranked 4th in the nation. Pretty much everyone had Michigan State in their top 10 teams. A lot of people had them in their top 5. And they played James Madison because one of the assistant coaches on James Madison is the nephew to Tom Izzo. And, I'm going to watch this game. I told my dad, look, they're playing Michigan State. Let's see if they can keep it close. James Madison was a preseason pick to win the Sun Belt. They were a decent team last year. And this year I was like, okay, maybe they can keep it close. And we're watching this first half. And James Madison played really good. Michigan State was missing free throws, missing threes. And that became a common theme in that game was their 3-point shooting. Shooting 1 for 20 from 3 is it's not good, right? They didn't make a 3. None of their starters made 3s in this game, and it was really struggling to score the ball. And I gotta give a shout out to TJ Bickerstaff over there at James Madison. I call him the feaster, because this dude just feasts down low. I mean, he just gets the ball and he's going up with it. He's a great finisher at the rim. He's not the most athletic guy, but he uses his size very well, and he feasts down there. So I was calling him the feaster all day. The real star of this team is Terrence Edwards Jr., a guy who was there last year. He's taken over that main role, and look, he played 41 minutes in this game, 25 points, clutch free throws, 12 for 13, 2 threes. And this was just a back and forth game. Michigan State ended up taking this lead in the second half, and I thought it was over. I literally was like, what's JMU losing by? I said that to my dad, and we kind of were like, okay, probably losing by 10. We were like, okay, cover, show some promise, because they were winning at half. And then it was just some crazy back and forth game there. JMU gets in overtime, big stops, and then Feaster had a huge bucket there. Bickerstaff did. I think they get it into overtime. A guy who was really selling, I really felt, was Nick Friedel. We can talk about the Kent State game, in a couple, like a minute. But I feel like he was selling that whole game, 1-5 for 3. A guy that, is a good shooter, confident shooter. Just didn't really do much in that one. But yeah, JMU really used their bench very well. They had they had 10 players play. They had actually 11 players playing this game. Really just 10 players getting double-digit minutes, which is big. And then in overtime, back and forth game, and it ends up coming down to a big three-pointer made by Michael Green. And he hit 3 threes in this one, and that one was big. I go crazy. My dad goes crazy. JMU, for the first time in program history, has beat a top 15 team, a top 10 team, a top 5 team. And the first time since 1992, when my dad was a freshman in college, when last time they beat a ranked team on the road. Michigan State. My thoughts on Michigan State are they got to find some shooting because last year they had Joey Hauser. They lose their best shooter, and that's just – you got to adjust for it. Really, Tyson Walker, they were relying on him to do everything out there. And he played very well. 35 points, 11 free throws, missed 6 free throws, though. You can look back on the free throw shooting in the first half, and maybe that's probably the difference in that one. 1 for 20 from threes, unacceptable. That's 5%. But yeah, no one else really stepped up. Cohen Carr looked really good as a freshman, but they didn't really give much run for Xavier Booker, who only had 5 minutes. Jeremy Fears only had 12 minutes and only had 1 point. And then Malik Hall was really bad. Jaden Atkins really didn't do much. AJ Hoggard, I think he had 6 of his first 9 points in the first 5-10 minutes of the game. Matty Sissoko really didn't do much there. He fouled out. Look, Michigan State, I'm not panicking on them, but they've hit, I believe, 3 threes in their first 2 games, so they got to figure out shooting, which could be a big problem for Michigan State. But let's get back to JMU, because in their second game, they go on the road and face Kent State, right? This game was not, it's not going to be an easy one. Kent State, going in this game, has won 23 games in a row. I can't even look. There's no box score for this game. Okay, so there's no box score in this one. Anyways, so this game, I didn't watch the first half. This was on Thursday night. I don't know why I wasn't watching the first half, but I wasn't. And I knew they weren't favorites in this one. I was like, if somehow JMU can win. This is a Sun Belt versus MAC challenge. And Kent State, of course, made the tournament last year, 12 seed. So this was a good team. And in the end of this game was crazy. Kent State's up 5. We throw it down court to Friedel. Friedel makes a 3. And then Kent State on their ensuing inbounds pass, offensive foul, get the ball to Friedel, wide open layup, sends it to OT. We are freaking out during this game. I'm like, oh my gosh. So overtime goes. In overtime, we get another back and forth game, but JMU's controlling it this time. And I'm like, okay, oh my God. And I say to my dad, this is crazy. JMU's going to be top 20, could be top 25 in basketball and football. That is just insane. Going to be one of the only, I think maybe the only team to win 2 road games to start this year. And I jinxed it. They hit a nice little corner 3 there, and then inbounds pass, the guy steps out of bounds. So boom, they get the ball back. They score. JMU gets a good look at the buzzer. It doesn't go. And then double overtime, another back and forth one, but some clutch 3-pointers from Terrence Edwards there. Brown, a great game with 16. And man, this team, we saw Feaster. I think he fouled out on that one, didn't play great. But JMU finds a way to get it done here. And look, I'm wearing my Duke shirt for a reason. They're 2-0, 9-0 in football. This school is on fire, man. And we'll see if they get a ranking. It's going to be tough. But in my opinion, if you keep Michigan State ranked, which I know they will, what's the justification for not putting JMU? I don't know if there is one. But I would be surprised if they ranked them, but in my opinion, I think JMU could be ranked and they play on Sunday against Howard. So looking to go 3-0 on the year. I mean, that was just so. It was just so cool. Like to watch that with my dad, to see this the craziness what he's came with being from a smaller school, and then just experiencing the football team and basketball team has been really amazing. And I had to lead off with JMU because I never thought that I would be talking about JMU on this podcast. And look at that. Look at them. Crazy, crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm going to take the shirt off because I'm wearing 2 shirts. I don't really want to. All right, so let's go back to some notable results from the week. And yeah, let's go to some notable results from the first week of the season. We did talk about JMU over Michigan State. Of course, the big Monday game was USC versus Kansas State. And we saw Isaiah Collier's debut, and he looked really, really good there. USC got off to a really good start. I think Collier was actually leading them for the start of that game. He played very, very well. And yeah, I mean he looks legit. Just the first 2 games of the season, USC I believe is 2-0. Kansas State, they got off to a bad start, and then Tyler Perry played very well in that second half there. They right now they don't have God, I can't remember his name now, man. Naquan Tomlin. They don't have Naquan Tomlin. If he comes back, I think this Kansas State team can very well make the tournament. But it was a tough game for the first one of the year, and I commend them for taking on a challenging opponent in USC. But USC looks legit, and I didn't really move their ranking. They're 17th, which I believe that's where maybe a little higher. No, I think that's exactly where they were. Maybe actually one spot higher. I don't know. They're around the same spot because some other teams got bigger and better wins. But again, I can't take that away from them at all. I mean, we had some smaller schools take down, like Louisville. Congrats, you beat UMBC. I mean, should I really congratulate Louisville? No, because they lost the game. We can get to that. Princeton ends up beating Rutgers. Again, Yale's a favorite in the Ivy. But I think Princeton's right up there with them. They're 2-0 in the year with a win over Hofstra, I believe, last night, and a win over Rutgers. This Princeton team who made the Sweet 16 a year ago, I think they can be dangerous. And if somehow the Ivy has 2 legit teams, man, that would be really, really cool for the sport. Something that you would not expect, but is a possibility. We saw Abilene Christian take down Oklahoma State on the road. We always see some small schools get some dubs. But let's move on to Tuesday. And Tuesday didn't have that many games, but we saw one notable result. It was the Baylor Bears taking down Auburn in a comeback fashion win after being down 9 in the first half and winning by 6, 88-82. And we saw the debut of Jacoby Walters. And this freshman man might be better than Keontae George. You start off your career with 28 points against a very, very good Auburn team. We see his shot-making ability, a confident guy who can shoot it from 30 feet out. There's not many freshmen that come in right away can do that with the confidence that he did. It's very good to see, and I feel like maybe I was a little low on this Baylor team. I moved them up to 12th in the nation after that win because I'm very impressed from the way they came back and win. They were underdogs in this game. And they ended up winning. I think Auburn's a good team. We saw Aiden Holloway, who didn't start, but played the most minutes on their team, 19 in this one. He's a very fun-watching point guard. John A. Broom had a good game, and he made 2 threes. So if he can continue to shoot like that, he did foul out in this one. But if he can continue to shoot the way he did, I think he can become one of the best players in the SEC. He kind of already is, but he can become a player of the year candidate in that conference. And I think the rest of this Auburn team is going to have to find out, who's the guys who's going to get big minutes and who isn't. But I think Aiden Holloway could be a star. Trey Donaldson is a guy I thought had a lot of potential. But yeah, I mean, Baylor's a very good team. I'm not taking much away from Auburn in that one. And I moved Baylor up to 12 because I really, really respected that win that they got. And And then honestly, like the last days, Wednesday and Thursday really didn't have much. I mean, FAU got a good win against Loyola Chicago. Which you just like to see. I mean, it was a neutral site game, but you're in Chicago playing against Loyola Chicago, and FAU showed some grit there. St. Mary's, I guess the biggest notable result from Thursday was a good win from the Gales against New Mexico, a great mid-major battle. Yes, New Mexico was missing Jalen House. But I don't know if he's worth 14 points there. St. Mary's was really good. And then Aiden Mahaney, a guy I talked about at the beginning of the season, 25 in this one, 5 threes. I think he's one of the best point guards in the nation and could be the favorite to win West Coast Conference Player of the Year. I think he's that good in this one. And this guy, I mean, Dukas, Saxon, Marcelonis, these are all guys who were on this team last year. They have experience, and I love the way they play. St. Mary's, again, I think it's a team that can very well win the West Coast Conference this year over Gonzaga. A team that always has Gonzaga's number. They always play amazing games, and the Zags, they've been looking decent, but I only have St. Mary's 7 spots behind the Zags, and I feel like that almost is too much of a gap. But with all due respect to the Zags, I have to, give them their flowers because they've deserved it over the last decade. But let's get to Friday, because Friday was the best day of college basketball so far this year. And let's talk about the game that everyone wants to talk about. The Arizona Wildcats take down my preseason number 1 ranked team, Duke. So in the first week of the season, my number 4 team and my number 1 team both lost. And it's a tough look for me. It really is. But I can't be so mad at it because Arizona's a good team. I had them as the best team in the Pac-12, which a lot of people didn't have. So I'm going to give myself some credit for that. But 5-point spread was really big in this one. And Arizona proves that they're a really good team. And Tommy Lloyd continues to get it done on the road against big-time teams. He's done that so far in his first 2 years. And now looking into his third year, he's doing the same thing. Look, they don't have a deep roster, unlike Duke, who really does. But we saw every player on that starting lineup play team ball. Omar Ballo is just a force down low, 15 points in this one. He's a real difference maker out there. He's just such a big body, a guy who missed some easier shots, who really could have had a better game in this one. But his defense is super impactful, a guy who can rebound very well, a bigger guy. Keyshawn Johnson, a veteran guy who was in the national championship game last year for San Diego State, led them the way in the scoring. He's a great role player there and an amazing defender. And then my favorite guy from this game was Kylan Boswell. I think he's taking that next step. Well, that's what I kind of want to see Proctor do. And in this one, Boswell outplays Proctor. A guy who also is the same thing like Proctor, reclassed up to playing college last year. So he's only 18 years old in his sophomore season. And he looked really legit. A guy who can make big shots, take big shots, and amazing ball handler and leader on this team. A guy who can play a true point guard. I really liked what I saw from him. And if he's going to take maybe the jump that I expected Proctor to take, this Arizona team can be one of the best in the nation. I have him now ranked 4th after that win. You beat my number 1 team on the road. You're ranked 4th in the nation here. I dropped Duke to number 11. Krivas, the freshman, he showed some youth in that game, but he's a big guy who I think is only going to get better with time. Caleb Love, again, wasn't his efficient self, but is he ever his efficient self is a great question. But big shot at the end of the first half, hit some big free throws down the stretch there, and Caleb Love knows how to get it done against Duke. Jaden Bradley, a guy who I think is going to have a bigger role as the season goes on, the transfer from Alabama. The bench will use some work, but I loved what I saw from Arizona, and that's a tough place to go into and play only in your second game of the year. Again, these two programs, they scheduled a home and home, and Duke it's a tough L to take, but I think this young team's going to learn. Flip looked amazing. I think the thing about Duke is I don't know if they swing the rock as much as you would like, right? They only had 14 assists in this one. And I think that as season goes on, I think they'll get better at playing more team basketball. Flip had 25. His shot looks very good. 3 threes in this one. He was, again, the best player on the court in this one. Jeremy Roach, I think he was underrated going into the year. A guy who, I expected Proctor to be better. I kind of forgot about the consistency of Jeremy Roach as a point guard, as a leader. The senior leader on this team had 17, but I think the rest of the team just wasn't there today. And I think John Shire is gonna have to try to balance rotations and find, who is going to be in the right spots at the right time. Mark Mitchell is a guy who's just hard. This is his first game. He didn't play in the first game. He gets 30 minutes in this one, and his shot is broken. I do not know why he shoots threes. You can work on that on your own time, man. Your shot is broken. 0 for 4 and 3 in this one, only 4 for 10 from the field, 9 points. I think Jared looks really good out there. If you're my age, you know Jared McCain, a guy who's just very famous on social media, a guy that is just an overall very likable dude. He looks very poised and looks like he has been in the big moments, a very fundamentally good guard. And his shot's going to come there. He has a lot of open shots, really good shot, and they're going to start falling. And it shows that John Shire has the most confidence with 29 minutes in this one. And Proctor really just wasn't himself out there this game. Only 8 points and 1 for 6 from 3. But again, early in the season, the shot's going to start falling more. And my concern with Duke right now is they're just not playing as much team basketball. And we saw Arizona did that better, and that's the reason they probably won this game, was because they were moving the rock better. And again, they just shot better from 3. And that's a lot of times the difference. And then the bench only contributes 5 points from Duke, a team who I think is very deep. Caleb Foster doesn't take a shot in 13 minutes. Sean Stewart, scores 2 points in only 4 minutes. Reeves plays 2 minutes. They're gonna have to figure out that big man spot if it's Reeves or Young. Young plays more in this one. Again, it's the beginning of the year, so I think they're going to figure out. But you go and play Michigan State next week, and you gotta be ready for that if you're Duke. And you don't want to lose 2 in a row. And I don't really know if I want you, but these are 2 teams who've both lost games. They'll go play against each other, and one of them's going to be a 1-2 ball club. And I don't think either of those teams expected to be like that 3 games into the season there. Texas A&M got a really good win on the road against Ohio State. And Texas A&M may prove they're the best team in the SEC. Right now, I can't have that because there's another team in the SEC who got a big win last night. Tyrese Radford, 21 in this one. Wade Taylor had an inefficient 21, but he's going to get his points anyway. He's that good. Henry Coleman, a guy who I believe is a Duke transfer, 20 double-double in this one. It's a deep Texas A&M team. And when you have a 3-headed monster like Radford, Wade Taylor, and Henry Coleman, who all have 20 in this one, again, yes, the rest of the team is going to have to play better. When 3 of your players score 62 of your 73 points, could that be a problem later in the season? Potentially. But Ohio State, you're favored in this one at home. And we'll see if Ohio State can have a bounce-back year. I believe Chris Holman is a very, very good coach. But Ohio State, they haven't made the Sweet 16 under him. It's a big year for this program. Bruce Thornton had 24 in this one. And Ohio State's not used to not making tournaments, so if they don't make one this year, it could get interesting there. But Texas A&M shows their guts. I have A&M ranked 16th in the nation, and that could be underrating them. I'm going to be honest. Miami gets a nice 16-point wins, covers the spread against UCF. Looks very good. I got Miami ranked 13th in the nation, which I think is very, very fair. Let's talk about Tennessee. Let's talk about them. I'm open to a conversation about Tennessee because last year, as a guy who watched a lot of college basketball, I hated Tennessee because they couldn't score the ball, and it was so frustrating watching them play. And now you go play against Wisconsin. They showed a lot of flashes in the preseason, and I think Tennessee's back. They can score the ball, and it's a scary, scary sight if Tennessee can score the ball. Kinch, the Northern Colorado transfer, that dude's really good. 24 in this one. That dude can play some ball. Vescovy only scores 5 points. A guy who was projected to be first-team All-SEC, one of the best players in the conference. Right now, he's not their best player. Josiah Jordan James, a great veteran. A veteran. Jamal Mashak, a veteran. Zakai Ziegler, who's coming back from injury, plays in this one, a veteran. This Tennessee team, I think, is really, really, really good. And this is the best Tennessee team, I think, since Grant Williams. I got Tennessee ranked 6th in the country right now, because they can score the ball. And last year, that was really the problem with them is I believe they won a game with scoring like 40-something points. It was crazy. If Tennessee can score the ball, a team that made the Sweet 16 a team that made the Sweet 16 last year, I think they can go further this year. I think Wisconsin's a very good team, but again, another Big Ten team that just lost at home. They bring back pretty much all of their players from last year. A team that missed the tournament but was solid. We'll see how Wisconsin will be this year. I'm not too down on Wisconsin, but it's a game you would like to win at home. A team that did get the job done on the road, at home against a ranked team, was the BYU Cougars. They're new into the Big 12 this year, and they go and play a former conference rival in San Diego State. And BYU handles them comfortably at home with a 9-point victory. BYU is going to be interesting. It's just going to be tough in the Big 12. So these are really big wins. I know we're super early into the year, but the Big 12 is going to be such a hard conference that you're going to have some losses. You're going to have a lot of losses, right? And if you can get some really good non-con wins, building a resume that the committee can look back and be like, okay, they beat San Diego State, who might be the Mountain West champ. They get respect, and maybe they can make a tournament in their first year in the Big 12. And when you have 42 points off your bench, you scored over half your points from off the bench. That is what Duke would need. I think San Diego State's good. Lamont Butler, Jalen Ledee, Waters. This team is a veteran team, but you're going into a really hard place. Provo's never easy in football or basketball. And I don't think the San Diego State team, is going to be as good as last year. I dropped them out of my rankings. I did, because I had to add JMU in there. So they were the only team that dropped out, but they can come right back in. If Michigan State gets beat by Duke handily, just believe San Diego State will probably be back in those rankings. And I don't have BYU in the rankings right now, but a home win's a home win. And BYU looks sneaky good this year and could be a team in the Big 12 to look out for. We had some upsets. Again, you always have some just random upsets. Louisville lost to Chattanooga. It happened. It's not really an upset, I guess. Louisville sucks. Okay. Kenny Payne not doing a good job over there. West Virginia lost to Monmouth at home. Nicholas State beats LSU. But these are teams that aren't good, that just lose to mid-majors. You don't want to lose mid-majors, but you do. And there were some good upsets. Memphis ends up beating Mizzou, a very good win for Memphis there. A team that's going to be competing with FAU in the American. Good win. And Javon Quinley looked very, very good in that one. That's the first week of college basketball. I'll probably come out with another episode on Monday talking about some games that are happening this week. Arizona beats Duke. The biggest result of the weekend. My James Madison Dukes are in my top 25. And some upsets. But so far the good teams look like the good teams. So some movements in my top 25 happened, and I'll put that in the description below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Monday. Go watch some college football now, some NFL, and always college basketball. Peace.